I'm gonna go ahead and one more time knock the Crest 3D white toothpaste because it doesn't work and it's fucking. I feel like we should class action sue them because they're playing all of us.
False advertisement.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. I'm not gonna stand for it anymore. Someone needs to speak out.
It's because you got to use the scope.
Anyway, I wanted to move along. No, I didn't mean that. That sounded rude. I didn't mean it like that. I apologize. I do want to move on though, and I wanted to get kind of into our main thing here. And so I thought, how do we give back to our viewers and our subscribers and the people that have been supporting us? And I thought, let's give them a little piece.
$1 million.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Give me $1 million. Start an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? But I thought, what would be interesting?
Check.
Only man.
Only man's.
Me and James have one together.
Yeah, only man's.
Link in the bio.
Yeah. You want to see white guys getting it in.
They're gonna be rubbing bars of soap on each other.
Bar to body.
Hair. I don't mind.
Irish Spring,
I'm a
whatever.
savage.
If we did, it'd be called bar to body.
That's what it is.
Plus.
That's what it is. That's bar to body only fans.
1 bar, 2 guys.
Let me get your bag. That spot that you can never get.
James was like, "How good can you wash my bag?" Travis is like, "I've never been more privileged."
That's right.
You know what's fucked up? We'd probably get rich too.
Yeah, we would.
You know?
we
It's
would.
disgusting.
Yeah, well, it's not for everyone.
Me and Anthony are trying to grow loofahs.
Don't judge.
We got one coming soon. Anyway. So that was a little giving back. But I thought, what would be good is if each of us tell a little story that kind of encompasses a piece of our lives. You know what I mean? And whatever that story may be. And I'll go ahead and kick it off. My story, so let me give you a little background. For those that actually know me, I have these 2 scars on my arm. And they're pretty prevalent. They stand out. Initially, it was more of a thing. I think more people asked me about it. Today, I think people ask me about it once they get comfortable enough to know me. And they're like, "Hey, man, how'd you get those scars?"
It's a tiger bite, right?
It was when I was on the Ravens. No, man. But on all serious accounts, man. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm going to kick it off. This is a few years back.
I'm sorry.
Starts laughing at me.
My bad. I was gonna say it was Tommy John's because he doesn't play baseball at all or care about baseball, but it would be like a Tommy John's. You know what I mean? Like,
who the fuck's Tommy John? Travis?
He knows Farmer
Doesn't he
John.
have
Farmer
a
John.
Subway shop?
Yeah.
Isn't he a pedophile, dude?
Jimmy John. My bad. That joke hit me in my head.
No worries. Anyway, so like I said, a few years ago, one day, man, I got to give the full details. If you're going to tell a story, you got to tell the fucking full story. So I was dating this chick, man, whatever. She hits me up and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going out with my homegirls tonight." And I was like, "All right, cool, fuck it. I'm going to kick it with my homeboys." And so they're like, "Yo, let's go hiking." All right, man, let's go hiking. Me and my boy drive up to Lido Creek. And I have one beer, one fucking michelada, like the one sitting right there. James, would you show it to the camera, please, so everybody gets a good understanding? I had one of those. And anybody that knows anything about drinking beer, you're not getting drunk on that fucking thing there. I don't care if you have 4 of them. You're not getting drunk. Anyway, so, we're up there, we're hiking, we're doing our thing. At the time, I was real into photography. I was trying to get into photography, so I was trying to get this shot, like the long exposure shot of fucking water coming over a rock. So it looks like smoky the way the water comes down. That's what I was trying to do. And I got a couple. And I was like, it'd be cool if I jumped to the other side and I go over there. And we had hiked up maybe 2 miles, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm jumping to the other side. And it's Lido Creek. It's a creek. It's a little thing. It's a little fucking little body of water, dude.
It's a creek. It's tiny.
It's not much, right? So I go ahead. I'm wearing these Air Max 90s, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to jump across. And the shoes I had, the girl I used to date, she said she would always be like,
can you take your shoe off and show the viewers, please?
Yeah, let me show you.
Because I know they're ready to slip off.
Yeah. That's how.
And these are the shoes you were wearing. Not these
particular ones.
But the style.
But if you guys want to go ahead and check those out, these are called the Enigma 90s right here, dude.
My
And these are not.
You can watch it, son.
These are not hiking shoes.
These aren't hiking shoes, but I assumed that I'd be just fine. And so, man, look at those. That's right, baby. All right.
Hey, those are nice.
Those are
some nice Enigmas.
I like the colors.
I appreciate that. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? Like, all right, I'm gonna jump across this little creek. Hey, ain't nobody got nothing to worry about, right?
And the Air Maxes.
Like I said, I was trying to get this other shot. And so I go to leap across. And
Wait,
Leap across?
yeah, leap across the creek, the creek, right? And there's a rock there. There's a prevalent rock where
The
I
rock
was
was
like,
there?
Dwayne was there. We kicked it.
were you jumping on him? Or?
Yeah, I was jumping on the rock. Anyway, so there's a rock there and it has some moss on it, right? You know, like it's been in the water.
Was he wearing the fanny pack and the chain?
Randy Moss?
Randy Moss.
What the fuck is going on?
You fucked up. You first fucked up by saying you jumped across.
Across.
He's being
It had a T on it. It had a T on it.
You know, fuck you guys. This is a traumatic story. And I'm not laughing at me right now.
T.O. pulled up.
Ocho Cinco.
The eagle landed. Oh, God. Okay,
Did
go
you
ahead.
have some Jerry Rice for lunch?
He had a rice bowl.
I've had enough of you guys. You're shit talking.
Oh, my God.
Carry on.
So I jumped to the other rock across the side of the creek. And when I jump on it, the rock is covered in moss. And my foot immediately just slips. And I put my arm down to brace myself, as one would. However, my arm, all of my weight lands on one arm at one time. And
It betrayed you.
I hear this noise. I heard this noise.
Oh,
And I
that sounds
immediately knew,
disgusting.
once I heard it, I was like, I'm fucked. And it was this loud snapping noise. I mean, it was like if you snapped a fucking pencil in half,
Can
you know?
imitate it?
If you snapped a pencil in half.
That's not very.
That's the
not-
imitation that you're going to get. Yeah.
Oh, like, click.
I don't know.
Is that
Where my dogs at?
is that how a pencil sounds?
I don't know, James. Okay,
No.
you wanted me to do it, I did
A
it.
pencil sounds like this.
No. Anywho, so I hear this noise, and then I immediately realize before I feel it, I know, oh fuck, right? And then I hear my friend behind me, and he's like, holy shit, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's bad. But when I fell, I was holding my camera. It's like an $800 camera. Didn't let that fucking fall. Didn't break the camera, son.
All
Kept
right.
it intact.
All right.
Right? Fuck my arm. No, never use it again. Anyway, so I get up, and my homie's like, he's freaking out. He's like, are you all right? And I go, yeah, I think I'm fine. But I was like, but I think my arm's fucked. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's fucked, dude. And now you start to feel it. You look at it, and I'm like, all right, man, this is bad. This is real bad. It's real bad. However, like I said, we had hiked up about 2 miles. And the only way to get out is to hike the fuck back down. And I'm like, fuck it. And during this hike up, we had like crossed little like on fallen trees and shit, and all of this. And I'm on the way back, I'm like, ain't doing that. I'm walking right in the water. I walk right through the water. We had to do this several times throughout the way. I get in the car. We get like,
Hold on.
No more Randy.
Ruin those shoes.
Did you sling it?
no, I didn't do anything at this time.
So is it dangling?
It's dangling. It's
No,
dangling,
you
James, and I got no
son of a
control over
bitch.
it. I can't hold it. It's literally just holding. It's just holding by skin.
He's not coach.
No.
Coach would have slung that thing up. He
Yeah, whatever.
used to be a scout.
Sure, I didn't do
was
anything.
Coach a scout?
Yeah.
Who was a scout?
He tied
I
up
rewatched
Schmidt's
that
arm. Go ahead.
shit. Okay.
Anyway,
You
so
just lost your coach credibility.
fair enough. Okay.
So
Back-
why
I'm
why
back
would
to
you
the-
why would you let it dangle?
Number one, James, I wasn't in the woods with supplies to fucking create a sling. Okay,
But you had-
James.
A shirt.
But you had Jerry Rice,
A
Randy
shirt.
Moss, and Tio out there.
I feel like
What
I
you
was.
mean?
I feel like I would take my shirt and sling it.
Right, I guess, James. Yeah, in hindsight, when you're not the guy there, that's fucking arms dangling in half. Whatever. Okay, I didn't think about it. We get it where I'm in visual of the car, and I stop, and literally everything hits me at once, and I'm like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I look at my friend, and I tell him like, I'm not gonna make it, and he looks at me in the most serious fucking manner I've ever seen, and he goes, I need you to make it because I cannot carry you to the car. Like,
You're gonna die.
yeah, you will die here if you do not make it to the car. And I was like, all right. And I fucking make it to the car, and I get in the car. And the pain hadn't really set in to this point. There was one point where I had to go up this hill, and I asked him to give me a hand, and I grabbed his hand, and he pulled me up, and I jolted my arm, and it really hurt. Outside of that, like I was fine the whole way. Like I was like, fucking, my adrenaline's going. You gotta,
Yeah.
you're gonna die. You're gonna die, So we get in the car, and then we get in the car, and I'm like, oh my God. this hurts more than anything I've ever felt in my life. Like I've broken arms before, but this is way worse. This is bad. But before we got in the car, I also stopped and I go, wait, take my camera. I need you to take a picture. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? You're going to take a picture? And I was like, this will never happen again. You need to get a picture of it now. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to take a picture of this arm. And so he does. If you check my Instagram, it's on there. We had like a little fucking smoke grenades, and we were doing a bunch of shit. It was actually a cool day till this happened. However, as I alluded to in the very beginning of the story, the reason I went there is because the girl I was dating was like, hey, I'm going to go out with my friends. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'll hang out with my friends. No worries. So as we get in the car and we're coming down, I get my signal back on my phone, and I'm like, I want to hit her up. Like, everything in me is like, I just need to talk to her. No answer. All right, I get to the hospital. And here's the funny part. I walk in the hospital, and I'm walking around, and I am soaking wet. As I said, I had to walk through this fucking creek, which gets substantially deeper later on, back down towards the end. So I'm soaking wet. And everything in me is just like, man, I got to hit her up. I got to hit her up. Not answering. I'm literally pacing. If you guys know me, I'm a pacer. I can't stand still, especially when there's shit on my mind. And I have a broken arm that's broken in half. So I'm just pacing around, like trying to fucking gingerly hold my arm, trying to hit her up, whatever. Nothing. So first I go to the emergency room, and people in the emergency room were like, you need to go over there now. And you need to tell them that you need to get in now. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, great. I thought so, too. This is an emergency. I should be the first in line. Yeah. I get over there, and I'm like, fuck this line. And this is a decent line. I'm like, fuck this line. I'm going to walk to the window. And the lady was like, do you see the line? You need to go get in there. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I've already checked in. They told me I was good. She's like, I don't give a fuck what anybody told you. You get the fucking line. I'm like, shit.
Did you see my arm?
And which is bad because at this moment, my mind's all fucked up, right? I'm like, why isn't she answering? Why isn't she answering? That's literally the only thing my mind's on. Again, my friend's there with me. He took me to the hospital. His girlfriend actually at the time met us there, and they're super supportive. And they're just like, all I could think is like, my battery's gonna die on my phone. I need to plug my phone in because I need to get a hold of this chick I was dating. So I don't get a hold of her, don't get a hold of her, whatever. Fuck it. All right. I end up going in. Once they finally get me in, they're like, "Oh my god, yeah, you need attention now." So yeah, no shit. But it's time. My skin and everything's purple because I'm fucking freezing cold because I was fucking soaking wet. Now I'm in a hospital that's like 65 degrees. And it's cold as fuck. So I'm sitting there and all this, and I'm like shivering, and my whole arm is swollen now, and I'm shivering and I'm purple. And finally, my friends that tells the like one of the doctors like, dude, you guys gotta do something for him, you know. Like, look at him. He can't. Look, he's fucking shaking like this. Like, and I'm like hard. Like, now I'm like, ah, shit. So they wrap me in all these fucking heated blankets. It's so fucking funny looking, right? But they wrap me up. They do all this. And all I can think, I tell my friend, I said, hey, I need you to take a picture of me with all of this going on. I need you to send it to my chick. You know what I mean? And he's like, are you sure, dude? I'm like, just fucking do it. So he does. He sends it to her. What's now I get a response, you know, and she responds to me and she's like, oh my God, like what happened? Were you drunk? Like that's the first thing. And I was like, oh man, you know, like, no, I wasn't fucking drunk. I was like, one beer. And so, but you were drinking. And I'm like, yeah, one beer. Anyway, so long story short, so that happened. The doctors tried to pop my arm back in place because it's totally dislocated. It's all fucked up. And the doctor comes to me and she's like, well, they had put me down and they woke me back up, which is weird, which is a very weird thing. And this was the first time that's ever happened to me. So they put me down and I don't know what's going on. And I wake up and I have this big ass cast on my arm. And she's like, the doctor comes and she's like, look, like your arm will not stay in place. Like we have tried. And she was like, I need to tell you, basically, either we're going to break your arm, like the bone that holds it together, and that's how we'll fix it. And she was like, and if I do that, it could really fuck you up if I don't do it right. So I need you to understand that before I do it. Or we could leave it like it is, and it's much less of a chance that things are going to work out. And I'm like, well, obviously. And I'm all drugged out. So I'm like, yeah, obviously, let's just break the fucking arm. You know, do what you're going to do. I don't know. You're the doctor, lady. I've never done this. So she's like, well, we're not going to do it today. You have to wait a week because you have to come to surgery and they'll do it. And so I'm like, all right. And so I go home. And I'm fucking depressed. And I'm depressed as fuck because, not because of my arm. I couldn't care less, right? I'm depressed because I'm like, oh, this chick's not fucking answering me. What's going on? And that turned into a shit show, but whatever. She ended up coming back, and all right, so we hung out. And then I had to get the surgery. It was a week later. So the girl that I was all worried about, she ends up going with me to go get the surgery. She takes me there. I get the surgery, and I'll never forget this shit, because I go in there to get the surgery, and they're trying to put me to sleep. And then so this good dude comes in, he's like the nurse guy, and he's like giving me all these drugs, and he's cool. So I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I'm gonna give you this. He's like, you're gonna feel great. And he gives it to me, and I was like, I don't feel nothing. He's like, really? He goes, this is the shit that Michael Jackson took. That's what he died. And I was like, well, I really don't want that. You know
MJ's a bitch.
And he looks at me and he goes, he wasn't in the hospital. Trust me. This is what you like. He's like, you're gonna enjoy it. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I'm gonna give you more. Shoots me more. And then boom. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, all these worries and everything just fucking left my mind. And I was like, wow. And my whole body, my arm is fucking to shit. And I'm just like, I couldn't care less, you know? And then, so they're like, go to sleep. And all these doctors come in the room and they're like looking at me and they're like, yeah, you need to go to sleep. And I'll never forget like me looking at them and I go, nah, I'm gonna ride this out. And they look at me like, fuck. Like, and I think it's funny, you know, and they're like, fuck you, dude. All right. And I'm like, all right. And I remember them wheeling me into the operating room and like looking in and thinking, like, last thing I thought was like, this is not what I pictured this to be like. It was like a regular room. You guys have played me. TV is a lie, you know? And then I don't remember shit. And then I wake up. I'm in this fucking room, like a little nurse, like, you know, like a little hospital room. And then the chick I was with was there at the time. So she's right there. And like, here's the funny thing. I remember just being like, God, I got to pee so bad. Like, and I don't know how long I've been asleep. I don't know shit. I'm like, I got to pee so bad. And so she calls the nurse in. The nurse comes in like, yeah, you can't stand up. Like, you won't be able to stand up. Like, so you got to pee in this thing. And so she gives me this little thing to pee in. And I remember looking at my chick and I was like, I'm going to need your help. Because my arm's in a cast again, right? So I'm like, I'm going to need your help. And I pee in this thing. It is the worst smelling pee I've ever smelled in my life. Like, and I guess because like, and I didn't know at the time, but I had been out for like 8 hours. Okay, like out, like no recollection, no nothing. And then I feel guilty, like, oh, you've been sitting here for 8 hours, you know? Oh my God, whatever. So the doctor comes in and tells me. So basically, the doctor comes in and tells me like, yes, we broke your arm out like that. We had to put like a pin in place there. All your ligaments, you have 4 ligaments that or tendons, whatever they are, that hold it together. They were like, you snapped every single one of them in half, like every one of them. So that's why your arm wouldn't stay in place, because there's nothing to support it. So we had to connect them back, but we could only connect 3 because if we connected all 4, you'd limit your range of motion. So we only gave you 3. And I'm like, and at the time I'm casted up, so I don't know, you know. And I'm like, all right, I guess. And then I go home. And on the way home, I'm like, yeah, obviously I haven't eaten in a fucking long time. So this girl was like, let's get food. So we stop, we get food, and then we're driving home. And somehow that turned into an argument. And then after that, I got home, and she stops in front of my house, and she's like, yeah, I'm not coming with you. And last time I kicked it with her.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that was not the best time to.
Well, yeah,
I'll
okay.
break that to you.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, so you know, so now here I am at home. I have only one arm. I'm feeling it as alone as a fucking person could possibly feel.
Like
you know. Yeah, and I think then that's kind of the time I watched this movie, the movie Her. But yeah, I'm just as alone as you can be, and I feel like fuck everything. And I feel lucky enough to that point that like I had friends, but because I remember one day, like, so, and I had a job, so you had to do this disability and all of that stuff. Like I had to do that, right? But you have to write things down. And I'm like, I can't write. Like, and I'm trying to write with my left hand, and I'm writing, and I can't fucking read what I'm writing. And I'm like, I need to know this shit, and I can't. And I'm so fucking frustrated. Like, I'm losing my shit because I'm just like, it felt like my entire world had just fucking given up on me, you know? And I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And I go upstairs and I knock on my friend's door. And I'm like, I hate to bother you. I just need you to help me write something. And he was like, why the fuck did you just tell me earlier? Like, I would have wrote, of course I'd fucking write it for you. Are you kidding me? And I tell him. And so he's writing everything down for me. And And I sat there after that, and like I felt like shit, you know. I felt like all alone, and then this is like the beginning of me understanding what people in your life mean. You know what I mean? Like, and this guy just sat there and was like, "Dude, don't ever do that again. If you need something, I'll fucking do everything." And there's times I couldn't open my window. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't open. I think I was telling James, I was like, "I can't open my fucking window, dude." And then like I'd have to tell him, and he'd come down, he'd open the fucking window for me. You know what I mean? Like
You had to masturbate with your left hand too.
yeah, and that's another thing.
That's down your alley.
I will be honest with you guys. So I had a cast on for 2 months. Okay, for 2 fucking months. And I was like,
Obviously.
clearly, I got to figure this out. You know what I mean? Dude, I'm all alone. I've been left. I'm sad. Okay, I got to knock this out.
This is it.
And I trained the left hand. Yo, if you put enough time in,
He mastered the left hand.
well, you get what I'm saying.
Since I was a young.
You just got to.
Horny toad over there.
Yeah, you got to dedicate some time, and then you'll be good.
I never went back. FYI. Never went back.
You're solely left-handed.
He's solely left-handed.
That's so weird.
The fucking and he's talking shit about bar to body.
Listen, first and foremost, I don't shake hands anymore, but at least I shake hands with that hand. You know what I'm saying?
But you wipe your ass with which hand? Your right hand.
Well, I would hope you're washing your hands after those.
Why am washing?
those
And I think we all know that I wash my hands pretty much.
Okay, but he's germaphobe, so he thinks like that level.
All day.
Anywho,
Let's get back to your story, sir.
so like I said, man, finally,
I'm just trying to inject something.
no, you're absolutely fine.
I'm really
You know what
riveted by the story, so I really want to.
I'm like lost in it right now.
Yeah,
I don't even know where I'm going with my shit.
I mean? And ultimately, so I got the cast off, and I remember too, like the day before I get the cast off, I was with my boys, and we get fucking trashed, dude, like just fucking trash, because I couldn't go to work. I had nothing better to do. So I'm fucking trash as fuck. And then I had an early doctor appointment at like 8 a.m. And to get the fucking cast, like the stitches out. They take the cast off and the stitches out. And so I go, I'm so dehydrated and just like, oh God, hurry up. And this guy, he's like, oh yeah, these stitches are real deep. And I remember him just digging into my skin with a pair, just fucking just digging in there. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? I'm so glad I'm trashed. You know what I mean? 'Cause this would suck.
He dug you out?
You sick fuck you. But ultimately, man, you know, like the thing that I took from that, like in the moment, was like, God damn, I was so fucking jaded on something where like I could have potentially never been able to use my arm and shit. Like everything was just bad. And the only thing I could think about, soaking wet, freezing, all of this, arms fucked up, was just like, how come this chick won't fucking respond to me? And today, like, I look at that. Number one, I always have these scars here to remind me of that. But I always look at it like, bro, if you're ever in that situation, it's probably a wrap. You know what I mean? Like, just let it fucking ride.
Yeah.
Stop fucking chasing shit that's not there. And that's how I learned that. I learned that lesson the hard way. And James is there for a lot of that. Like, so he knows, man. Like, I was very fucking just. I just thought everything was my fault, and I could fix it. And sometimes I think you're better off just saying, all right, it's cool. I should have been more focused on me in that moment. But I don't regret a thing. I think it was great. I think it was a great learning experience. I learned a lot, and I learned my capacity to give a fuck about something more than I care about myself, which is ridiculous, but I did. You know what I mean? And so that's the story of how I got these fucking scars on my arm.
Which is great, because I've heard this story like 8 times now.
Yeah, probably.
That's probably the best rendition I've heard. And I'm glad that it was on the fucking
It gets better
podcast.
with wine. You know?
Yeah, it's like fucking fine wine. It gets
It's
better.
better with wine, whiskey. but
I was captivated to the point where I was like, oh shit, like,
yeah.
well, we're podcasting.
The first time I told the story was actually, I think, on the
my
old
original-
podcast that you used to
my
have.
original podcast.
And that shit went like 3 hours long.
It was a great episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
What was running through your mind as you were driving to the hospital? Like,
Where's she at? Was she on
That's
the
it?
phone? Yeah.
like it
everything- that
wasn't
was
like,
it.
hey, I gotta hold on another
it was
30 minutes.
It was
to get
nothing
there.
else. Nothing but
this
that.
man didn't sling it.
I want to
He
tell you,
wasn't
like,
gonna be-
I would be sincere with you guys in this. It was the only thought that was on my mind. It consumed every aspect of me in that moment, like literally. I mean, I'm walking around the fucking hospital, literally. So you know when your shoes are soaking wet and they're just squishing. Yeah. I'm walking around the hospital and there's footprints following me of fucking water because I'm fucking. That's how wet I was. Yeah, and you can hear the noise and everything. And the only thing I can think of was that. Like that was it. It entirely consumed me, and that's why when someone tells me like, "Hey, I'm in this place where I just can't," I understand it. I absolutely understand it. And I think everyone has to figure that out on their own. Because I will be honest with you, even right after that, I didn't fucking accept that as that was the end of it. I still didn't, and I did find out later that chick that she was with another dude that day. That's what happened, and she was telling me basically, "Oh, I'm not gonna leave. I didn't drive. I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna do that." And I guess at the time it just fucking fucked with me so bad that I didn't want to accept that. And the reality is you got to accept that. You got to accept that for what it is, and that's all right, you know. And I don't hate that chick. I don't at all. I very much like the movie Her, and what he says at the end is like, I think you changed my life forever. Like, and it did. And a lot of things I learned that were great, and even that situation there, that's how I learned like I'll never put myself in that position again. To where like it's more important to me than me.
Yeah.
And people are, but at the same time, I think not when you don't have time to fucking respond to me, and I'm telling you like I'm fucking like this wasn't a joke. This was some serious shit. So, and who wants someone like that in your corner? I don't think anyone really does, right? And so
No,
it was
ultimately
today I can understand like I'm cool letting that go,
It's
and,
an easy release.
Yeah. And once you figure it out, and that's the thing is once you figure that out though, it's just like I can't believe I fucking did that. But you have to figure that out on your own.
Yep.
And there's my story, man. So anybody that ever want to know how I got these fucking scars on my arm, there you go. I was jumping the creek trying to take a picture and snapped my arm in half. Literally.
That's a great story.
Yeah. It sucked.